Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sledgehammers in the Office podcast, where we celebrate the heavy hitters on the job site and in the office. If you're new to the show, we have two types of shows. One is the typical interview style. We have a guest on. We want to learn more about what they're doing, their story, all that good stuff. And the second type of show is the one that we have tonight. We've got three guys who are working on building their businesses and following along with that. So we're going to go over certain metrics that we've got on the financial side, the different steps that we're taking to build the companies and the similarities, differences, and then also kind of poke around at some of the industry specific details. So before we get into that, let's catch up with the boys on what everyone's been doing this last month.
I've been running away from Phoenix summers, apparently. Well, for at least half the month. So I got to run away to Wisconsin. And decided I liked it so much, I'm gonna move. So in 3 weeks, we're moving to Wisconsin.
Connor, I don't know if you remember this, but last month we were giving him a hard time about not inviting his friends over for the barbecue, mainly talking about us. And then I think when we finally put the pressure on him, he decides I need to move across the country to get further away.
Yep,
He'd rather move than just invite us over for.
Yeah, come on. Do you know how much work it is? Conversation, it's awkward. Yeah, true. It's okay. You guys can sneak in. Whoever is here afterwards, you can just hop the fence and go for a swim. I won't tell anyone.
Deal. Go up on that in the next 3 weeks.
Perfect. And honestly, the only requirement though is you have to be no swimsuits allowed when you do it.
That's not surprising coming from you, Alex.
I'm glad I have established myself as that kind of person.
Oh,
it's a good personality trait to be known for.
Yeah.
You guys getting all the ducks in a row for the move?
So far, we're doing the U-Box thing for the pods to get that moved. Getting everything else taken care of, but honestly it's actually going pretty well. Today I've been up since like 3:30 because my brain wouldn't turn off, and I got a lot of stuff knocked out, so I'm feeling really good about that, and just trying to keep trucking. So yeah, feel good about that. What about you, Connor? What have you been up to?
Wife's family was in town for a couple weeks.
Nice.
A week ago, just visiting from Northern California, so they're not used to the heat out here, but a lot of indoor activities and tried to stay cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then this Saturday we had a dead cow delivered.
Oh, heck yeah.
So our family splits a cow, so I picked up our portion.
Nice.
This Saturday we got about
It was a scheduled dead cow.
Someone didn't just drop off a dead cow at your house.
Yeah, scheduled, planned. We knew it was coming. Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Split it 5 ways. So my portion.
We just split our cow 5 ways.
Really?
Yeah, we actually did that like 3 weeks ago. We just split a cow 5 ways in our friend group.
Wow.
Yeah.
Connor, once again, you see, neither one of us was asked to split a cow with him.
Hey, you got to take that up with Clayton. It's his uncle with the cow hookups. So this is our 3rd cow that we've done now, and it's
the 3rd time that Alex has not invited us.
I mean, you could just split it 6 ways, Alex. I mean,
I could have, but then that's less meat for me, and I like my meat.
I have an excuse. It's a family thing, so I can't just on family. You, friends, that's in here. So.
As long my only goal in life is just to exclude Thaddeus from things. So yeah, as long as we're doing that, we're good.
And my goal is to include him in things.
Yeah, like this podcast.
True.
So I guess you have total control there, Thad, who gets invited.
Yeah.
Timbers.
He's like, well,
see what
for not including me in the cow, you're out.
For that reason,
you're out. Yeah.
You're out.
We're short on time today, so we got to skip a segment.
It's okay. It wasn't that important anyways. What about you, Thaddeus? What were you up to?
This week, or not this week, this month has been a little aggressive. We had 3 job starts in 3 weeks, and the problem with that was that there's a decent amount of upfront work that we have to do on our projects. So with that, we started having those kind of roll on top of each other. Unfortunately, ran into some issues with one of them where we had checked to make sure there were no load bearing walls, and there was a load bearing wall. So trying to deal with getting that corrected, and it's just slowed things down. So I should have staggered these a little better. I probably had the opportunity to stagger one of them a little better, and it wouldn't have been as aggressive. But we are probably on. We've been through. This is week 4 of things being pretty bad. So I'm hoping to kind of close this out. We're going to turn the corner on it, and then all of them are going to kind of go into management mode at the same time, which is good, but also kind of just frustrating that it's like, hey, if I had thought it through. So that's just been the rough part. But the good part about it, or the part that I'm happy about, is today actually had Ethan go out to our Wickenburg job solo to get guys started out there, make sure everything was good while I was doing other stuff. So it was nice to kind of take that breath of, all right, it's not all on my shoulders right now, and he's not full time, but it's to be able to have certain windows where I can have him step in and help, and there's times where Esther's stepping in and helping on the office side. So that's been great. So other than that, like we had a day with some friends yesterday where they invited us over, swimming, barbecue, stuff like that. So Sundays, like even with how busy everything is, like Sunday is the day that we go to church, we spend time with family. So there's no work on Sunday. So, and then a couple weeks ago, because we did that project over 4th of July weekend, I had promised Kendra a date. So we went and got some massages together. And so that was pretty good.
Nice. Do you like getting massages? Because I know there's some guys who are just like super weird about massages.
I enjoy it. That's our second massage that we've done. But like during it, it feels amazing. And some people afterward are like, oh, I'm rejuvenated, all this stuff. And you feel it for a week. I woke up the next day and I'm like, we're back to normal. So a little disappointing, but yeah, I would definitely do it again.
Yeah, I had a buddy who first time ever massage he went, the guy was like going really, really hard, and he thought that's what a massage was, so he didn't say anything, and he was just like, whoa, the whole different, and it was a 90-minute massage, and he was like, yeah, I'm never doing a massage again. I was like, did you ever say ouch? Or that's who I was like, no, I didn't want to make the guy feel bad.
Definitely key.
Yeah, clearly it was not that friend's forte.
Yeah, so we did a Thai massage. So we had done a Hawaiian massage before. Kendra got that for me for my birthday a couple of years ago. And that one's more just like they're massaging you, but they're not really digging into any muscles or deep tissue, stuff like that. So we went to a Thai massage place, and if you get a true Thai massage, they'll get on the table with you and they'll start kind of like sitting you up, stretching you in different ways. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm signing up for that one. So I did more just the Swedish massage, which was like they dig in a little bit more. So
sure.
I like that more than the Hawaiian massage. But there's definitely those where it's like, do you just want someone to kind of they'll be gentle to you? And yeah.
I remember there was like it was an Amazing Race one that we were signing. It was in Thailand, and they're like, "Oh, do you want to do this challenge or go get a Thai massage?" And everyone's like, "Oh yeah, do a massage," and they're like bending them backwards. It was like,
yep,
it does not look fun, and everyone's like, "Oh," I was like, "Yeah, that'd probably be me."
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yep,
fun.
Did you guys do anything else this month?
Trying to think now. I feel like whenever we do these reviews, I just like, what even happened last month? It's just been it's good to look back, but I feel like I just have short-term memory loss or something.
So you got to put it in your calendar.
I do. I seriously do. I need to start journaling more or something like that. I'm like, Alex, this is what you did today. You're not going crazy. But yeah, no, I think that's it mostly. I think we did just hung out with friends and stuff like that, and then obviously the trip. So that's like the main thing.
Oh, Connor, I meant to ask you, uh, do you ever hit a limit with family where you're like, hey, it's time for me to go home, or it's time for you guys to go home, type of a thing?
Yeah, there's times. And then I know they're coming from out of town. So all my family's here and her family's not here. So when they are here, try to recognize they don't see our baby all that much. So
I'll be honest, I don't care.
That's fine.
We went to Michigan, and so we're out of town visiting, like, same thing. We got the baby to see everybody, and by like the last day, I'm just like, I'm ready to go home. And yes, absolutely, it's the like, okay, like, see the baby, but by that, like, there's a certain day you get there where it's like everyone's seen the baby, we're good. Like,
yeah, I think it's different when we're traveling, like we're on vacation or we're out of town. We were here, so I wasn't just a couple weeks of just all family time. I still obviously did what I needed to do, and then the evenings were that hanging out. So
that's good.
It was all right.
Well, Thaddeus, I love my family so much that I'm going to go be staying with my in-laws for an undisclosed amount of time. So when we're moving to Wisconsin, we're actually staying with them because we're actually planning on building a house in Wisconsin. So
I wouldn't be allowed to have shoelaces.
I mean, on one hand, a lot of free childcare, and we actually get to go on dates, which is nice. But on the other hand, we're literally living with my in-laws. So not necessarily something I was planning on doing when I was 30, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Building a house, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
You already have the land?
There is a plot that we found that we really like. I'm waiting to talk to the one of the lenders. There's like a agricultural lender that's really popular out there and does super flexible loan structures. So waiting to talk to her on Wednesday because she's at a conference right now. Yeah.
Hey, Connor, that reminds me, after the podcast, can I talk to you about getting some money to invest on this out-of-state property? It'd be land, so we'd have to develop it, but
sure, why not?
That sounds like it'd be perfect for like a family to move into.
Yeah, get them on the rent.
Yeah, make sure you buy it and jack up the cost so they can't buy it.
Perfect. Yeah, let's talk. What I'm looking to do.
There you go. Perfect.
All right, let's get to the business stuff. And usually I'd say we've got an ad, but tonight there's no ad. Like I said, this month was a rough. No, it's not even that. Like I said, this month was a rough one. I just didn't have time to write about how comforting, delicious, soul healing Shamrock Farms chocolate milk really is. I mean, if I had time, I would have written about how I would choose Shamrock Farms over counseling like 8 days out of the week. Mm-hmm. But all we have for you today is the image of a man enjoying one of God's greatest gifts.
I also love that the green part of the Shamrock things goes in and out as like part of your background.
It's okay, right here.
I was worried that, and unfortunately, something you're going to have to work on, Thaddeus, is Shamrock Farms does not deliver to Wisconsin.
Well, since you're going to be there, we'll have you start working with the distributors and get the relationship going.
UPS does. We'll just put a half gallon once a week for you.
Just half gallon in like a Ziploc bag. Don't even leave it in the original container.
Hey, Thad, I got a real question for you. When you got a full day in the field and you're out all day, for lunch, do you just bring a Shamrock's Farms for lunch? Is that what you do? Just chocolate?
Let's see. That kind of happened last week. Kind of happened last week where I had to be at a job and I knew I had Shamrock Farms there. I don't think I really had anything else there, but I knew that tied me over.
Yeah. That should be an employee benefit package part of it.
Ooh.
dental, vision, 401k match, plus weekly Shamrock Farms chocolate milk budget.
Yeah.
Or we do, sorry, we couldn't do the 401k, but we have.
Here you go. Even better.
That is,
We will match your purchase of Shamrock Farms and get you another one.
if I empty my pool and fill it with Shamrock Farms chocolate milk, will you do any job I ask you to?
He's inviting you over at least.
It's progress. If you filled your pool with chocolate milk and said I could drink it all, I might do any job you ask.
You can drink it all. You can have all of it. Every drop.
Well, you just skipped that part, so.
Well, I assumed I'm not gonna drink it.
I'm not gonna assume anything. I want it in writing. I get to drink all the Shamrock Farms chocolate milk.
I'm super curious how long that would probably go bad before you could drink it all.
I would say so.
just a guess,
3,000 gallons.
I mean, think about a decent amount
Do
of
the
it
math,
would definitely evaporate. I don't want to know how nasty that would be afterwards, though. Like dried chocolate milk on the side, just chlorine is just like, or like chlorine, or the pool pump.
Sounds
is
like
just
a Mr. Beast episode. So
it does. One I can't afford to make.
How many friends does it take to drink a pool full of Shamrock Farms chocolate milk?
Last one to leave the chocolate milk pool gets chocolate milk for a lifetime supply.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways.
All right, let's get into the business stuff. That's what we hope that people listen. Specific info from the industry: 2x4s at $325, same as last month, but that's significantly lower than what it's been for the last several years. Plywood, $18.78. That's been more steady. Copper, on the other hand, that one went up again. It's at $34.96. So that is, we base it off of half-inch, 10-foot copper, and for the most part, people aren't really using that copper as much anymore, especially when we have PEX. So that might be the one caveat I have for it, but really it's just something as far as our material cost is going up on copper. So if that's a true indicator of where material costs are, then we kind of expect to see that going up. So recapping the numbers, this month we took in $185,142.
Sorry, can you say that again?
$185,142.
That's insane. That is
we
insane.
Almost doubled what we did this year in 1 month with what we took in. So there was stuff that was closing from June that hit. We had the 3 job starts like we talked about that hit. Like that's really the biggest part of it. We had those 3 job starts and then stuff rolling over. So it was nuts. But then essentially, like, for a lot of it, turned around and watched it get sent to other contractors. So as far as where we're sitting right now, like, we're sitting above $30,000 that is ours that we get to keep in the bank account right now. So we're also hoping that by the end of these projects, we're going to be having a good report on that for next month's podcast. So I'll say this though, I did screw up pretty bad to where I'm going to be spending $10,000 to get countertops fixed. So that's fun. But yeah, we've tried to just account for where we're at, and that 30,000 number that we've got is really based off of, like, we've paid salaries and paid our expenses, stuff like that. So yeah, that's where we're at. And then action steps from last month was getting stuff organized and getting stuff documented for tools. So I put in the notes almost done, which actually I said I got that done, except for I need to just print out the photos of the stuff. So we went through, itemized everything, and then I'll put this in the notes for the podcast when we publish it, if anyone wants to go take a look at what we've got going. So it's essentially an employee breakdown for all the tools that we have. So it has we have what's called the Milwaukee Packout system. It's all the toolboxes that lock together, and then all the tools that go into each one, and then all the prices for them, so that we know when we bring on a new team member, they cost X amount of dollars. And essentially it's $6,000 of tools that we have per person right now. So we've got 2 sets. We're just right about 2 sets. So one that I'm using, one that Ethan's been using. So, but it's one of those things where we'll be able to reference this, update it in the future, make edits, but it's a way for us to know if we're bringing someone on, we can factor in their salary, their insurance. And then the nice part is that if I guess the insurance and the tools are going to be kind of more, if someone is with us, a team member's with us, this is how much it's going to cost. And if we want to up that, then just keep kind of adding that in. So we're trying to just really lay the foundation for where I see this going long term. I'm really happy about that. The action steps going into this month is we have a shop area where we're storing a lot of the other tools or the stuff that we're not using on a daily or regular basis. And it's a bit of a mess. So we're going to get that all cleaned out. I'm going to have a dumpster show up to my house, and we're just going to get a lot of stuff that I've had for years that's like, we haven't used it, just trash it, and then organize it so that everything's good to go. Same thing. It's the same thing. We're trying to just look forward to the future. How do we build this out so that we've got Ethan, who's with us, or whoever else, that we can start to say, hey, here's what's in this box, this box, this box, where we have this type of a job and we're getting hands-on. So we need this, and just try and make it standardized so that even as we grow, it's in addition to, rather than being, all right, we got to refigure out what the heck's going on, or like, we really just don't want to be creating a black hole that everything is falling into. So yeah. Let's see. Then what I want to highlight. One of the things I wanted to highlight was real quickly was realizing this month, especially as things have gotten so hectic, that right now, I just am the bottleneck. I've been very happy with how Esther and Ethan have been performing. But there's stuff that I want them to do that they can't do, but it's because I've got stuff that's in the way of that, where I haven't been able to get the training done for that. So it's just been, okay, we need to start being very intentional with that. So right now, one of the small ways that we're trying to do that is, and this is the beginnings of the training program that I've talked about for a long time, I'm recording videos either on the job site or in the office. And it's like getting them scheduled, not really editing them too much, but it's for when they show up to work. Hey, here's a video that I want you to watch to be able to understand how I'm thinking through this, or here's a skill that like I want you to have. So just trying to decrease that time that it takes for them to learn something. So just trying to keep it pretty raw on the footage too. Like most people know, for our podcast and then for our projects, it's not like we get crazy with the edits, but it's same thing where it needs to be quick, easy. That way we're not adding more work to the plate, and we try and transfer that as much as possible. So 2 things before I hand it over to Connor is I was looking at the bank accounts and trying to figure out, okay, where is all the money? Like, we've obviously been taking in a lot's been going out. So where is everything? Where are the levels at? And right now we have 3 bank accounts. One is our projects bank account. That's where we receive all the checks. That's what we pay the money out of for our projects. And then we have an operations account. So in that account, we pay the salaries. We're paying for certain stuff that we use, that we should be doing like subscription stuff out of. And then the last one is just a savings account for taxes. So I reached out to a couple guys to say, hey, do I need to get a couple more accounts to like just have allocated savings for if I wanted to do, if we've got insurance, but I usually pay it in one payment per year. And so it's like, do we just put dollars in there every month rather than doing it on a finance basis to try and like save money like that or whatever? And they told me it's like, no, you just need to do accrual accounting. So you mark that in your journal entry or your ledger essentially for the company. So that was one of the things where it's like, okay, we're going to have to kind of get brushed up on that and start to be able to dive even farther into the side of the business that I don't like to touch. So that's been something that we're going to be looking at, but I didn't want to put that on my action steps for this month just because we try and take 90-day chunks or 90-day we have a 90-day focus, and right now it was just getting organized. So I think once we get everything organized and we've got a lot of that done on the bookkeeping side, it'll be easier to kind of step into that. Then the last thing I want to hit real quickly was my friend Logan. He had been in Arizona for a couple years. We had worked together with the previous general contractor. He had worked with me on some projects that have been on the YouTube channel. He ended up moving back to Washington with his family and decided that when he moved back, he wanted to start his own construction company. So it's been fun talking to him about some of the stuff that like I've done with Saito, and just even saying, hey, here's some steps to take right now, and here's the sequence that I would do it in, and here's the framework as far as, and some of it's little stuff, but it's the things that you spend time thinking about as you're doing it in terms of website stuff or Instagram stuff or different things like that. Like one of the stupid small things was like I was encouraging him to post on Instagram and YouTube to be able to have a better conversion process as he approaches leads. And he sent me a video one day. It was like, we'll just say on a Tuesday, and it was him walking through what they're doing with this bathroom remodel. And he's not really big on media. So I was like, yeah, that was good. Like he did address all the stuff, but he wasn't a huge fan of it. So then he sent me a video the next day. It was like, and I didn't give him any of this. This was all him, where he was just a lot more enthusiastic, moving a little bit quicker through it. And it was just being able to talk to him like, hey, that is what you want every time. And then just, it's those small things. And talking about, hey, post as much of the process as you can so people are seeing that you're doing it. Try and build that portfolio from the very beginning. This is like even one of the pieces of advice I got from the owner of the window and door company, where it's like, take a lot of photos. And the part that I'm really excited about now is, even with how busy this month was, we updated our portfolio, added a portfolio section to the website. And that was all because we had taken the photos of those previous jobs, where a lot of people might not have those, that we took the time to say, hey, here's the before, after description in between. So, but it's like just telling them, like, start now, because you need that library, and you can build that library, like in my case, within a year. And you can start just directing people, oh yeah, go check this out. Like, you tell them where to go. So it's stuff like that it's been exciting to kind of look back at as, oh, some of these little blocks that I've put in place and had to kind of think about, or be like, oh, I'm gonna try this here. No, it needs to move over there. Now I can just be like, do it A, B, C. So I think that's all I've got for right now, unless you guys have anything.
Would you say the next few months are more about like stabilizing rather than like continuing to push for growth, or how are you feeling about the upcoming months?
Right now, my big focus is November through, or I'd say end of October through the first 2 weeks of January. The reason why is those are just dead times for remodelers, interior remodelers particularly, just because if people are living in their house or if they're snowbirding here, they don't want you in there.
Yeah.
So it's trying to just, my big focus is, how do we start filling all those time slots with projects, and how do we get that full? So that's the big thing. Next month I'll discuss kind of what our next big emphasis is for the next 90 days. But as far as the thing that's occupying a decent amount of space in my mind, it's just how do we book the end of the year?
Gotcha. Okay. No, that makes sense.
Cool. All right, Connor, let's talk about it. What's going on?
Going on in real estate. Active listings today, just under 27,000. And that's down from right at 28,000 from last month. So still a steady decline. And that's largely driven by cancellations right now, listing cancellations. Closed are just under 6,000. and that's down from 6,700 from last month. So a decrease in closed houses. And then interest rates decreased as well, which is better. It's what we want. So right at 5.7, down from 6% last month. And a 10-year treasury keeps declining. That's kind of what the mortgage rates are basing it off of. Came after a bad jobs report earlier or last week, middle of last week. So that's kind of why. Recap some numbers. We currently have 3 vacancies, and then we had 3 people moving in this month. So one moves in tomorrow, one of our furnished units. Someone moved in on the 1st, August 1st, and then someone moves into our Scottsdale house, I think the 16th of this month. So 3 move-ins this month, which is good. I find that our houses get rented much quicker, not much quicker. The quality of leads and the amount of interest in our houses has been higher recently than our Tempe apartments. And I'll talk about that a little bit later, why I think that might be. But we get quite a few quality renters for our houses, and which is great. I'd rather a studio apartment be vacant than, a 3 or 4 bedroom house, just rent wise. So yeah, we were about 97.5% collected, and that's just one person has said they'll pay late. So there's communication, which is good. Our South Scottsdale townhouse, we've been remodeling. We're kind of coming up on a close, probably another week or so. We're doing cabinets went in last week, paint touch-ups today, and then showers look great. We did a really nice tile on them. This is the first house we've used a designer on. Someone's wife I had met. He's in California, but they do a lot of house flipping and rentals as well. But his wife does designing. So South Scottsdale is a little different than what we normally buy. Just kind of different vibe. So want to get some help on the designer side, and I think she did a pretty good job for pretty reasonable price as well. I'm not a one to compare tiles or colors or things if you can't tell. So having help, in that area, I think it'll help rent it quicker. People, it's important what it looks like. So we're actually really happy with that. And yeah, final stage of the house, our granite goes in tomorrow. And one of the last pieces, all our mirrors and lights are up, and our trim kits, and it's coming together. So maybe have some photos next time of what that looks like. Action steps from last month were, I did some of them. I tried to do all of them. Sending out the mailers, still testing that, and talking to a few people. There's so much competition in Arizona. So the guy I'm working with he's shown me the ropes. He's in Tennessee, and they mail 3 different cities kind of around there. And Arizona, we have so many home buying companies. I'm sure you both can name like 5 off the top of your head just with billboards. We say it's injury attorneys, and we want to buy your house on all the billboards around here. And they just flood the airways. So I'm still sending out the mailers, and if we get one house, even in the next 10 round of mailers, it would make up for it. But I'm trying to tweak the lists we pull, and the frequency we send, and the type of mailers. So still doing that, but just want to test a little more with more precise data. I had hired a VA for help with property management. I had still in the process, still interviewing for that. There's just a couple roadblocks we ran into with how much they wanted up front. So there's 3 tiers based on experience, like 2 years experience, it's one price, 3 to 5 years experience, it's another price, and the best is 8+ years experience. And they wanted like 35% upfront upon signing. And like, I don't know, I've never used someone like this before. I hope they help, but want to dive into a little bit more, have more structure for them before I bring them on. So we're still in the interviewing stages, but it's kind of a big check to write just at the front when we haven't done it before. So they have an alternative payment structure that I think would work for us. So move forward with that. And then action steps for next month: interview and hire the VA. Something else we were doing is still waiting to refinance. So we have a portfolio of paid off houses we want to refinance, get long-term low interest rate debt, or as low as we can. And if interest rates keep trickling down as we think they are, we're not in a rush to do it. Not in a rush. We don't need the money right now. I'm just waiting for the right time on that. And I had a conversation with our existing bank where we have a line of credit with, and there was a merger last year, which when a merger happens, you keep half the people go. So it's kind of a weird time. So we met with our new banker last year, and we're at a really low debt to equity with this bank. The past few years, our properties rents have gone up, interest rate stayed the same. We're probably 50%, probably less, 40% debt to equity. And we want to add more properties onto our line of credit. And usually a bank would be excited. You're taking on more debt. Banks make money off of overdraft fees, car loans, and mortgages. So, but the lady flat out told us, we don't want to lend to you guys anymore.
Why?
What she said is our type of loan our terms are too good, and they don't do that type of loan anymore. So we got our loan.
What does that mean?
I mean, they don't want their business, and they're just giving away your business to somebody else.
I don't know. It's strange because you think you both bought houses the past few years. When I got a house a few years ago, really low interest rate, but that was the market. That was the time. Yeah. My bank isn't going to come to me now and say, you need to increase the rate because you got too good of an interest rate. They borrowed the money for less 3 years ago, and now
they're still making a profit.
Old money, and it's different. And so she basically flat out said, we don't want to lend anymore. So that's where the whole process
Which they would be lending at the current interest rate, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's so bizarre. Okay, well, if they want to lose your business.
That was like last, I think, October. And like I said, we're in no need to refinance. So fast forward to today, I'm talking to our new representative at the company. And she's telling me the old lady was fired. She said she quit, but I think she's fired. I think she was like sabotaging their company or their bank, or wasn't doing something right. And like, oh no, we want to lend to you guys. You guys are great customers. We want to lend all we can to you. I'm like, so really, really odd. I don't know if we're gonna, just because of that. This person went rogue, but so still looking at refinancing and monitoring the market.
From the mailer's perspective, have you gotten any responses so far?
One.
Okay.
Besides go away?
No, zero then.
Really? Someone called you to say go, like leave me alone?
They didn't answer. No, it came from a undisclosed phone number, and my company answered the phone, said hi, welcome, and the person didn't say a word for 5 seconds and hung up, or 10 seconds.
Okay.
So, but still a lead. They might come back in the future.
True.
Yeah. I think my first few lists, I think, were poor. This last round I sent, I thought was really good. I'm going to try a different mailing company, and then I've been mailing to the mailing address as opposed to the physical address. But now the majority of the people I'm mailing to, or all of them, should be homeowners. So they should live there. So I'm going to mail to the physical address. But this last round, I was looking, I counted 15% returned mail, which seems like a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's my post office or if I need to mail them out myself. Company mails them to me, then I mail them out. I don't know.
The post office doesn't want your business. They don't want your money.
Want to take the fee and give me back my letter, I guess.
Yeah.
Could be. I don't know.
Okay. That's super interesting.
Yeah, what else? It's a topic I wanted to highlight is the apartment building in Maricopa County. And even though I don't know, rates are high and maybe it's expensive for people to buy houses, the apartments and big buildings that are being built were started. Well, they got their entitlements 4 years ago. They started building 2 years ago, and now they're, completing today for the next few months. So there's just a lot of apartments coming online, especially where ours are in Tempe, just surrounding that area. But I was reading there's about 20,000 expected to be done this year. And these are apartments, houses, or condos. So 20,000 apartments are done this year. Last year was just under 20,000. And then, let's see, 2023 was 13,500. And 2022 was 12,000. So it's steadily increasing. Then over the next 4 years, I guess last year and this year included, but between 2024 and 2028, they say 60,000 will come online. So that's crazy. 5 years, that's average 15,000 a year for the next few years.
I'm really curious to see how this is going to affect things. So I grew up in Colorado, and in Colorado, I think it was in 3 years, downtown Denver doubled the amount of apartments they had. And that drove down the price of things for a long time. And then you had a really high default rate on a lot of these, or a lot of vacancies, because a lot of people would come in for those 2 months of free rent because everyone's just trying to get people in the doors. And then the job market was super tough because so many people were moving there because of all the rent, and it looked like a great place to go. And it just really honestly messed up a lot of the economy for a while, at least in downtown Denver. So I'm really a little nervous, but kind of curious to see how that affects Phoenix now that we're kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, a typical, economics would say as you build more, prices should come down. And, I'm sure you guys know the rent spike in 2020 to 2022 was insane.
Right.
Like 30% in some cases or more, 40%. And that's not normal. Landlords loved it, but you soon realize, everything goes up. My labor goes up, the electricity goes up. So it's not a true reason for that.
Well, and you look at like the house prices ballooning so much in 2020 in terms of people are gaining like 50% equity on their house. And then I don't know, there's just so many other things. And then you have the RealPage stuff. That's what I was going to talk about, where I think RealPage was a property management company that had AI setting rental rates for a lot of apartment buildings. And they were actually used in, I think, 50% of apartments in the Phoenix area. And there's currently a lawsuit going on against RealPage for manipulating the market, because it was like literally daily. I remember one of the complexes back when I was renting was like, we don't even set the rate. It's just automatically adjusted. So one day it would be, 1,800 for a 1-bedroom, and then the next day it would be 1,500. And like, it was totally up to the AI. And it did optimize things and said, if you have a lower occupancy rate, but you charge everyone $200 more, it's way more profitable than having a higher, and you have a lot lower expense because you're not wearing and tearing as many apartments. And then if you have full vacancy, but it's slightly lower rent. So that jacked up a lot of things as well.
I wonder what's going to happen with the lawsuit, though.
Yeah, I'm really curious.
And adjust rates through software.
I think you can. I think the predatory nature of so many people were using RealPage that it fundamentally had like considerable impact on the market.
Interesting, because our company, I remember a couple of years ago, someone said they're going to report our company because of that. I'm like, I didn't use that, and I don't know. I'm not a Camden Properties. I don't have 80,000 units under management.
Yeah, exactly.
But even though we didn't use the AI, we still saw an increase in rent. Just naturally, one apartment for rent, I get 10 qualified applicants. Clearly, there's a demand there. So even though I didn't use the AI, maybe I should have, but I didn't.
Well,
You
I
still
think
see the increase.
Yeah, I think in the AI perspective, they were increasing rent much more than like your standard like 3% that a lot of places were doing at the time in terms of it just jumped so high. And there was no real rhyme or reason. It wasn't because there was lack of availability in their suites. It was literally just because the AI decided that was the most efficient algorithm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which I think it'll be interesting on the defense's perspective, because obviously the natural inclination is we want to be on the people side of like, that's your house, like they're
Yeah.
just jacking up your rate, that's crazy. And if we're to try and just steel man, or even just, we'll say, play the devil's advocate, as far as you essentially created an AI to say, we have a business, we're trying to make money, how do we optimize for making more money? And the AI, within the parameters, as like it was taught what to do, said just do this. And so people listened. And so I'd be curious to know if did that violate rent control with how much they jumped it up, or what was in violation? And just because so many people were using it, it's, at the end of the day, whether you did the map, or even from now on it's just a case study, it then in my mind it becomes, hey, I don't think you have legal standing here.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting case to look at of where is the line that people are okay with rents going up, but we can't fully optimize to make it just, how do we get the most profit?
Yeah, I think the biggest case against it was just of the widespread use. So everyone who was using it literally just let it set the prices, and it was raising the rent on so many things that everyone's like, oh, well, it wasn't for a reason in terms of it wasn't just doing it because there was less availability or, rising costs of things. It was literally like, all right, well, how high can I set
So
it?
they're gonna have to go before a court, essentially, and this would
Exactly.
be interesting as far as, um, if there's legislation that gets passed down, or if there's a ruling that gets passed down in terms of, hey, whether you're using an AI assistant or if you're the one who's doing the adjustment yourself, are there rules and regulations on how much you can increase rent? So it's the rent control. And I think California was proposing some of these things in terms of how much you could raise rent, and some other states have done the same. But it's then, um, how do you do that? And I think, once again, though, we're gonna face, like, you're gonna face the same problem, because then the stricter guidelines you give it, you get to feed an AI and say, hey, play within these rules. This is what you can do. Make it work.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think. Sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
I think oftentimes a lot of the AI results, AI is going to do things in ways that people can't predict, and it's going to take a lot of supervision at first, especially. And I think the dangerous part is like when you say, "Hey, go do this the most optimal way," it might do it in a very immoral way, right? It's like, oh, okay, the fastest way to make money is set fire to all the other competitors' buildings. It's like, okay, well, technically that is true, but that's not like that's not necessarily what we want it
Right.
to do.
So this is going to be the thing where we tout America as this capitalistic society, and there's some people who don't like that, and there's some people who it's like it's God and capitalism, essentially.
Right.
So it's then going to become, hey, like, we've got to figure out what does that look like and where's the limit, because there, on the like, if we were to just say, hey, this is straight capitalism, like it's business, like
Yeah.
there's no morality to us increasing prices. If you don't want to pay for it, the market should be responding, and the market should be dictating what's happening, like so. But then on the other side, you have the more, probably socialistic, or how do I say it appropriate, like the more liberal side of things, that says, hey, we can't just optimize purely for business, because then we get people who have assets that directly affect people's livelihoods, and then you're just playing a game of how much gold can I sit on top of, and at the expense of hurting other people.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have to figure it out in litigation.
An interesting result, though, of the massive price increases of rent is all the building that's coming online. So all these companies wouldn't have built as much as they did if they didn't see the rent potential here. So rent goes up, building supply, and now we're seeing the supply between, I don't know, a couple years ago and several years in the future. So
and this is speculation, and this was an idea I've had since I think it was 22 when things started getting crazy with all the buildings being constructed. My analysis of it was people looked at, oh, you can make a lot of money off of rentals. It's a long-term thing that you can do. You can be depreciating against it, turn it over to someone else. And so it was more of, let's get out of the game of building houses and it's a one-time sale, but it's a build and rent it out and collect the rents for a long time. And then whenever you're ready, let it appreciate, sell out of it, buy the next one and roll through. So that was more my analysis, not necessarily that, oh, we have a need in the marketplace. It was more, we have an opportunity to make money off of the rents. So
absolutely.
And I think there's probably people sitting on both sides of the fence. So I don't want to play it like it's truly a black and white issue, but it's, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm really curious to see how the market evolves, especially in Phoenix. We've had a lot of ups and downs, I feel like, in the past 6 years. So it's been really interesting as a first-time home buyer myself during this period, and Thaddeus, you and I both were kind of going through the craziness first time around. Not you especially as a realtor and as a first-time home buyer, and it's just kind of crazy to see. We've just been in very, very unique times that like a lot of our parents haven't necessarily seen or experienced before, and so it's really interesting to see how things are going to continue to evolve as we go forward.
Well, I think it's also the side of we're seeing it come to a head, but what do we do with what do we do now that institutional money's coming into it?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And how do we deal with that? Because institutional money, for the most part, played the larger publicly traded companies, and now it's starting to touch things that very directly interact with our lives.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Connor, do you have anything else, or should we send it over to Alex's AI corner?
I think we'll send it to our AI correspondent.
All right. Okay. So, in the AI world, something that I've been reading and seeing a lot more about is people are starting to realize a lot more of the limitations of AI as we're going along. So there's a lot of companies now that are starting to renege on their firings of people and end up having to spend twice, 3 times as much because they fired too many people too early, and then AI is messing up, and then you have to hire people to go fix those mistakes. And there's so much of the marketing hype where we weren't necessarily in business at this time, but we hear a lot about the .com bubble and how a lot of people just thought at that point, oh, if I just make a website, I'm just going to have like millions of dollars. And so I think there's a lot of companies that are doing that with AI in terms of, oh, we are AI integrated, and then you're realizing it's really not as robust as you think it is. One of my favorite sayings is you could just kind of imagine that AI is a very excited intern and leave it there. Because that is really, really what it is. One thing that I am seeing come out of this that I'm seeing a tremendous amount of use for is the like a business needs tailor, like something that can build a hyper specific need for you, versus in the past that would have to be something that you either spend a lot of money to like go hire a consultant or hire someone off of Fiverr, or to go make it for you, or go buy the service from someone, and maybe it did 60% of the things that you wanted, but not necessarily everything. So an example is something I helped Connor build recently, and a majority of it was AI driven. I still had to do kind of some of the grunt work, but it definitely made it a lot easier. So Connor has a set amount of emails from 2 lists that set out like wholesale houses, and so he wanted to kind of create a database where he could check out things, get notifications about certain zip codes, so he could kind of get on top of houses that he cares about in certain areas, so he's not having to manually scan the list. So I had AI create a Google app script, plugs natively into Gmail, creates a Google Sheet, maintains it, parses it out like incredibly well. And it really didn't take that much effort from my part. I didn't, even though I do have some of the coding knowledge, I didn't have to do any coding myself. Literally the hardest thing was just figuring out how to trigger it. And I ended up using a free version of make.com, which if you haven't used that before, it's kind of like flowchart stuff where you can have like automations. So basically my Gmail checks for these senders that they send out between a certain range of hours a day, it automatically forwards it to Make, and then that triggers my script that the AI wrote for me, and it goes and parses everything out. So eventually we're going to build out some more functionality for it, but just getting that set up was actually surprisingly easy to do. And even while I was on vacation in Wisconsin, I spent like 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there, and was able to get something out that it's now been running for, I think, over almost 15 days now. And we have 509 properties in the Google Sheets with like pretty detailed information in there. So it's pretty amazing how this kind of stuff is coming about. And I think there's going to be a lot of things where in the past, like, oh man, I just wish I had something that did this with my email or help me with this specific business need. Now it's just a matter of, as long as you can describe it well enough, you can have it built out, and then you have exactly what you need, and it can meet. You're not having to pay anyone else for it. You're not having to spend this huge lead time and a ton of effort to go make it. You have a tool that can just help you make it right away. So I think that's really interesting to see, and I think that's going to really start changing how a lot of particularly small businesses start approaching things, and really helping them get ahead.
All right, two things real quick.
Yep.
I'm going to try and start with seeing if I can repeat back to you in a third grade version of
Sure.
what you said. So we have a list
Mm-hmm.
of properties that maybe are good candidates for us to make money off of.
Yep.
They go into a spreadsheet that we make through Google. We have contact info for those people that we email them, or they're automatically emailed. And then if there's a response to that email, the AI is then automatically used to start interacting with those potential leads or with those prospects.
This tool is literally just scraping it and creating a database. So it's not doing any interaction. There's no actual, like, the AI isn't interacting with the data at all. It just helps build the tool to collect the information.
But when they respond to if they respond to the email, is there any AI interaction, or is that manual interaction?
Nope. So the only email is coming in. It's a list that you subscribe to, and it's a wholesaler list where they automatically send out, one sends out a morning and an afternoon one, and one just sends out a single daily one of, hey, here's houses for sale. It's from Connor, I think what you told me is first come, first serve. So whoever reaches out to that wholesale first, because I want to buy the house. So what this really helps Connor do is we can build an alert system on those golden zip codes that he really wants to buy houses in. So that way he's not bothered with his email. Instead, he gets a notification right away. Hey, here's a house that you might actually care about buying, and then he can focus on that right away. So he gets to kind of, he doesn't need to read through the email every time, because sometimes there's upwards of 20 properties. It'll immediately just highlight the stuff he cares about, and really kind of streamline this process. And then the bonus part is, now that we're doing it over time, he's going to have a database essentially of houses that have been listed and sold in the past year. So that's I mean, as you guys know, in the real estate world, having that kind of information, especially about certain neighborhoods, certain zip codes, becomes increasingly valuable the more data you collect. So especially from like, hey, here's these two wholesalers and here's every house that's come through in the last year, that starts becoming pretty valuable.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then second thing was it a month or two ago, you had the AI conference, you came back and you seemed super on fire for AI's got it. They still need a little bit more time, but we seem to be cooling off a little bit. Do you think that there's something you saw that is making you a little bit more, hey, like people are jumping the gun? Or do you think it's a both and, that people have jumped the gun, but this is coming, and what we saw happen is going to be more appropriate, give it a year, 2 years, or 3 months, 18 months, whatever the time frame you want to ascribe to it is?
I feel like there's a lot of really interesting tools that are laying the groundwork, but it's not there yet. Every single tool that I've heard of sounds really cool on paper, and then you use it and you're like, great, it's awesome for like the demo environment, and maybe there's one or two niche cases, but for the most part, it's not like mainstream ready.
This hasn't achieved scale.
No. And I think that's the biggest issue for every single company like utilizing AI to any regard, including like OpenAI and Claude and all of these other AI companies. No one is affording, like no one has hit profit or revenue yet. No one knows how to make money off of this yet. And a lot of estimated budget numbers when it comes to like business need and buying this AI is actually turning out a lot lower than people were expecting. So they were expecting businesses to be buying a lot more of this, and that's why everyone went so hard in it. But everyone's realizing, this stuff isn't really as great as I want. Like it's good for some things, don't get me wrong, but for the most part, it's just not there.
I wonder if it is more they haven't achieved the market scale, so the financials just aren't there yet. Whereas if you run the financials, yes, it works, but the whole production side has to work, and we're not there.
Yeah. I think, like I said, the foundation is coming there, especially with the tools that are coming through, and they're giving AI a lot more capabilities, especially in segments. One big example is OpenAI for ChatGPT essentially gave it its own virtual computer, so it can start actually doing work for you now, versus without being in your work environment. But it can start almost acting like a computer, like fully sentient in that way, and that's kind of leveraging. That's starting to build a big lever for AI. So you can see that kind of stuff happening.
Cool.
Yeah. Sorry, I gotta dip really quick, like 2 seconds. Baby emergency. Be right back.
All right. Do you want me to start the company thoughts? He's gone.
Yeah, just the tool Alex created was pretty cool. I think we had a phone call, and I told him maybe 5-10 minutes what I was looking for, and then I think the next day he might have stayed up a few hours past his bedtime. But he sent a pretty cool tool the next day, basically doing, I don't know, 90% of what we wanted, and then it needed a few tweaks, and I don't know, within a week or so, he pretty much got what I was looking for. So it's pretty cool. Good tracker. And I was tracking it manually. I had someone tracking it for me, but I think this is a great tool. Things I found that AI is good at is manual processes, coding, and I don't know, automated things, writing. There's one other thing. Repeated tasks. The thinking we do, all the thinking you do, Dad, day to day. I don't know how that gets replicated.
Not a lot.
Not, yeah, even the little that goes on up there. I don't know how. Yeah. So, pretty cool feature.
Alex told me about this a month ago, and him and I have a joke that I told him about this guy, Alex Hermosi, and I was like, dude, you got to check out his stuff. It's fantastic. And I told him about it, him twice. And then a month later, he comes in and he goes, dude, you've got to check out this guy that I found, Alex Hermosi. And I was like, really? I've told you about this like twice, like a month ago. And I had to kind of come back to him and say, hey, I'm going to do the same thing to you now, because he had told me about the voice use with ChatGPT, and I used it on Grok. But just messing around with that was a lot of fun. To even for me, I've got a lot of windshield time, especially with the jobs that I've got an hour commute on 2 of my jobs right now, so it's just almost like I can talk to somebody and kind of pick their brain a little bit about a certain topic. So it's been fun to just use it that way as far as the learning on if I have a topic, and it was about advertising. So
yeah, I find it to be very helpful, especially if it's like 3 a.m. and you don't want to bother your friends. You're like, I have someone to like bounce ideas off of. And sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's like, okay, you're just a yes man. But other than that, I feel like there's generally good conversations.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Okay, Thaddeus, we don't want to hear your thoughts. What are the company thoughts?
All right. Tonight's company thoughts are on how to compete in business. And this is really based off of a video and the work I put in for one of the videos I sent to Ethan and Esther. So this is a very true, we send these things to the people in our company. So we treat this as how are we communicating internally? Please use this at your discretion. This is kind of entertainment, but that we use this internally. So we had a Cyto dinner, which is essentially I get everyone together, we have dinner together, and then I talk about things that I feel like are important. And one of the things I ended with was I want to dominate the construction industry, and I was pretty firm on that. And they kind of looked at me like, okay, or what does that mean? And I felt like I had to almost define some terms that it was this week that I created the video to send it to him. So we're a couple weeks late on that. But so I want to take a detour, define some of those terms, and then circle back to what does that have to do with competing in business and how do we do that? So I want to start with essentially, I think we've got 4 of them. We've got a prospect. It's someone that we think will be interested in our services. We want to find the people that we believe are going to be good customers and can pay for what we can do. We've got a lead, someone that has shown interest in our services. Next one is going to be conversion rate, the ratio of people or the ratio of leads that become paying customers. And then we want we want to be converting qualified leads to paying customers. And then the last one is referral. And that's going to be a lead or prospect that we received from someone we know or have worked with. So this matters to us because we talked about last month with the machine that we're trying to create with Cyto, that we're starting with marketing. We go from marketing, sales, production, and then retention. And that's essentially what these terms are for along the way. So this is how we get to judge ourselves. And I actually got to have a conversation with Ethan about this today to say, the way that we compete is we get to say, hey, what are the industry averages for how many prospects we can find for our marketing campaign or where they are to really target them, and then how many turn into leads. And this is just going to be a quick, crude way of doing it. But and this is what we talked about as we were sweeping a floor today was if we have a marketing campaign that gives us that on average would get a company 10 leads and you convert 3 of them to paying customers. But if we could be above industry average and get 12 leads and we're converting the same amount to paying customers, then we're going from essentially like 12 to 4. So we start with, okay, we want to compete on being better at bringing in, like finding leads. The next part we can compete at is converting those leads. And then through the production that we go through, it's maybe their leads pay them $100,000 per project and ours pay us $150,000 per project. So now we have $300,000 versus $750,000. And then the last one is going to be on the retention side. Let's say they keep a third of their customers, like 10 years later when they're looking to do another project. But we can keep 2/3 of our customers. That's where all the numbers come into play. So we start to be able to judge ourselves in the actions that we're doing, but we need to start with those 4 terms in terms of we need to start with those 4 terms that are how many prospects are we going after that turn into leads? So, and then from leads to what's our conversion rate to real jobs? And then how many referrals do we get? And that's kind of how we're basing our retention off of it. The competitive side becomes we can look company to company as far as, okay, they're in our same space, around the same size. If this is their conversion rate or their metric, are we at par with them? Are we less than them? Are we better than them? So that's the competition right there. And it starts to become a part of the daily process that are you doing your job well inside of that specific area to beat the other company? Do we have the processes that allow us to do that? And if not, then how do we practice that, execute on that, and continue to grow? So that's where the competition is. So it then becomes, if you're in the marketing department, how do we make our marketing better so that we turn prospects into leads? And then the sales department, how do we turn those leads into projects? And then for the guys that are doing the project, how do you maintain your profitability? Like you create the game, you create the standard that you're holding everyone to. And it's then you can look side to side to say, this is the game that we're playing. This is how you compete. And this is how you make business a game.
Yeah.
When you explained all that, what did they say?
I think Ethan saw it as, he seemed a lot to understand it a little bit better and understand that, oh, this is how it's a game.
Yeah.
Because it can be, and I think the hard thing is when you're an employee, you show up and you do your job. And then there's times, at least for me, where I felt the employer wants you to work harder because they make more money if you work harder. And you don't always realize that, hey, we can gamify this and make it more fun, or even have true standards that we're holding people to, because sometimes it just becomes arbitrary. Do more. Like, okay, but am I doing enough? Like, am I good at this? Am I not good at this? And it's just do more.
Yeah. What does doing more really mean?
Right.
That's interesting, because if they just see it as do more, they're taking a idea or notion they've had at previous jobs. That's what the last guy thought was good. But at Cyto, you have a new standard of what good is. It's too bad the other employers they work for didn't have, I don't know, your standard or better, but they're kind of getting a new perspective of, no, it's not that it's bad. It's just what we do here. It's different, and we do these things, and it's different. You can think it's working harder. It's just what we do.
Yeah. There's a company that I know that had a new CEO come in, and his whole thing was like, oh, we just need to win. We just need to win. And he just kept saying that over and over and over again. And every single employee was getting more demoralized because he didn't clarify what winning looked like. He didn't celebrate anyone. He's like, guys, we just need to win. We just need to win. And we're like, what is that? Like, okay, what does that mean? You know, it's nothing actionable. It's just like telling a guy, like, oh, you need to be, you need to be nicer. It's like, okay, well, what does being nice look like? You need to smile more. You need to listen better. You shouldn't interrupt people. You shouldn't swear at people. Oh, okay, those are all things that make someone nicer.
Yep. And so you could even you can start with the metric and work backwards a lot of times as far as if, like we said, it's the conversion rate, the industry standard is 30%. Then if we're at 20%, why are we at 20% compared to everyone else? And then you start to examine that and then try and find the factors that lead to it and say, this is where we're drilling down. This is where we're fixing it. And you go from there. And then if you're at 40%, it's okay, we're above industry average. What are people doing that, or what are people not doing that we're doing? And how do we double down on that? Or what else can we be doing to try and increase that? And it just makes it where it's truly objective at that point. Yeah. It's not just show up and, oh, we're gonna try, or like I did my job, but was that good?
Yeah, exactly.
There's this podcaster. He talks a lot on culture, but it's mostly political podcast. But something he always talks about is, men and women are different, but as men, we want to know, what's the game that we're playing? What is the game? What are the rules within the game? What are my boundaries? And then how do I win? We, like Alex, you were saying, the guy says we want to win, but describe, what does that mean? So what's the game we're playing? What are the parameters? What do I play in? And then how do I actually achieve success? So,
well, and the part that I think bleeds into culture, especially too, is, and I don't want to get us into too much of a tangent because I know we got to kind of wrap things up, but for someone who comes in and says, I just want to win, I just want to win, or even for me where it's like I'm at the Saito dinner and I'm like, I want to dominate. And it's like they could be looking at me going, hey dude, like you just started this thing full time recently. Like we're at the very beginning.
Yeah.
So it can feel like we're so far away. Like we have like we're not winning. So if we're not winning, we're losing compared to if it's, hey, everyone that's the size of company that we are or that's been in the position that we are, like the exceptional people are doing only 10% better than we are. Then it's like, I want to win. What does that mean? We need to push for that final 10% so everyone can look side to side and be like, oh, what we're doing is working. But if it's, I just want to win, I just want to win. Oh, are we losing? Like, are we just not doing good? Like, does that mean we have a bad team? Am I on a bad team? It's like, I feel like I'm doing my job, but is Johnny, like, Susie, like, I see them slacking off sometimes. That's what's dragging us down. And so that's where the demoralization comes in. And so it's set this, like, understanding, hey, guys, if our conversion rate's at 25%, I want to win, average is 30, great people are 35. Let's make the push. How do we get to 35? So it's a rallying cry, but we need to set the standard more than just, let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think the most successful leaders are like, all right, we're going to hit 40 and this is how we're going to do it. And it's just like, all right, you just need to follow the process. If you listen to me and you follow the process, we're going to hit 40 and that's it. And then that's winning.
Yeah.
So.
Social media stuff.
You can find me at control-analytics.com or on LinkedIn, Alex Von Reich.
I am Instagram, Connor Tyke, Real Estate.
And then we've got cytobuilding.com, and I believe I changed the name on Instagram to Cyto Building, so everything is more uniform.
Heck yeah. So until next time.
I hope your hammer stays accurate.
Your Wi-Fi fast.
And your work blessed.
See you, everybody.
Yep.
You know, it's funny. I was listening to something, and it said, so until next time. And immediately, the thing that just popped into my head was, hope your hammer stays accurate. Your Wi-Fi, like, I just finished it myself. I laughed. I was like, that's hilarious.
You've been doing it for too long.
Apparently.